Hi, my name is Lisa Whitney Sprague, and I have had two Bigfoot experiences, one with my husband and one with my daughter camping. When we were camping, we went up outside of Dorena, out by all the mining claims and stuff out Sharps Creek, and she was sleeping in her tent. I was sleeping in the van because I'd made a bed in the back of the van. And at first I was like kind of watching up at the sky, and I kept seeing weird lights and stuff, and I was like, those aren't drones. What the heck is that? And I just assumed, it was like planes, satellites, something. I was like, whatever. And so I laid down, started to go to sleep. And then just as I was drifting off, I heard like almost like a tapping or a scraping. And I wasn't near any trees. So I was like, what is going on? And so I like kind of sat up and looked around, and I took my flashlight and shined it out the window, and I didn't see anything. And then just as I started to drift off again, I heard it, but it felt like something jostled the van. And it's a big van, so I'm like, the heck was that? And we were pretty far up a side road and stuff, so I'm like, there's no way there's somebody out here right now. And I was up most of the night because I was just like, oh my God, what was that? So I'm not even 100% sure, but with the weird lights going on and then the noises and stuff, and like almost like a mix between a grunt and a growl. When I heard the jostle, it was like a rrr, and I was like, oh my God, because I thought there was a bear or something out there, and I was like, I have my gun with me, so if I need to. But I like cracked the van door and was like, Nika, did you hear that? And she goes, I heard something. And I was like, you armed? And she's like, yeah, because she had her gun too. And I almost made her come get in the van with me, because I was like, I don't want you sleeping out there in a tent when I'm in here inside, an enclosed space. But she was like, no, I'm fine. And we ended up going to sleep like probably 3 or 4 in the morning. But it was something. So were you able
to look out?
I looked out and I shined a light out there and stuff. I didn't open the van very far because I was like, if there's something out there, I am not opening the door and letting it just come in,
No, I'd be terrified.
But I was looking around out there and I didn't see anything. I didn't see any footprints or anything. But we were on like this side of my friend's mining claim, and she was on the other side. And a previous time that my husband and I had camped up there when the kids were little and they were all staying with friends and stuff. And we had actually heard something very similar, and had like the trailer, because we were staying in our friend's camp trailer, had the trailer jostled, and I like rolled the little window open, and I got that horrible like garbage funky smell. And I was just like, oh, I rolled the window shut.
So you are the third person this week that has told me they had an encounter at Sharps Creek.
Oh my gosh, that is so freaky.
Yeah.
That is like the main area that and my friend said that when they were camping at her mining claim on that side, it's actually off Sharps Creek, up Martin Creek, I think is the road. And she said that when they were camping there the previous year, because I didn't go the previous year, it was like the women's rock hounding camp out thing. And when they were camping there the previous year, they had heard stuff overnight too. And a few of them walked up her little like driveway thing back up to the road. And she said that she heard like big, almost like a tree cracking when the wind blows really hard, big trees. And so they were like, oh my God. And they walked up there and they were looking around with their flashlights. And she said that something threw, and the hill is like almost straight up and down on the other side of the road. Something threw a rock, and it landed, she said, maybe 5-6 feet from them. And it was like basketball sized. And she's like, there's no way that rolled down. If it rolled down, it would have went straight down the hill and landed on the other side of the road. But it came all the way over there by them in the trees. And she said they booked it back to their campsite. They were like, nope.
That's amazing.
That's just crazy.
That is like almost exactly what she said too. It was a big giant rock that nobody else could have.
She's like, there's no way.
Possibly crawl into this rock, and it was across the river at them.
Oh, that's so crazy. And the time that me and Josh had went, when we lived up Dorena, there's a row of houses right before where the little store used to be there, and there's a church across the street. Well, we lived almost directly across the street from the church, and it was storming, and the wind was blowing, and like big storm coming in. And we kept hearing like grunting, but it didn't sound like a bear grunting. And so we were sitting there, we walked outside, and he has his gun and I've got the flashlight, and we're standing at the end of our driveway by the road, and we're looking, and we heard something crack like a little tree next to the church. Sounded like it just cracked in half, and I was like, oh my God. And then we heard this growl, and I have looked all over online trying to find the perfect sound. The closest thing we could find was the cross between like a bear, kind of their little grumble growl that they do, a cross between that and an African lion. And it scared the shit out of me. Yeah. I ran back in the house. He's standing at the end of the driveway with his gun, and I've got the flashlight, and I'm inside the door with the door shut, like, and he's like looking around like, where did she, and the dogs, all, like, my friend was there with his dog. She ran back and jumped in his truck and was like cowering. My dog ran inside her doghouse. They were just like, nope, no. And he wanted to go across the street and look, and I was like, no, you have fun with that. Here's a flashlight. I'm going inside. I'm shutting the door. No, we're good. So the next day, he convinced me to go. There's like a little logging road that goes up behind the church and kind of goes back along the mountain there. And we went back there, and I took a picture. There was almost like a pretty steep embankment, but it was only like maybe, I'm 5 feet tall, so maybe 5.5 feet. And there was this big of a footprint, huge footprint. You could see the toes and everything, straight up the embankment. And it was a good, 5-6 inches deep. And I was just like, wow, that's not a person. And I got my camera out. I had my phone and took pictures with my phone. Because I was like, I know that like sometimes people take pictures and they like disappear. So I took a picture with my regular camera and with my phone. Mm-hmm. The phone picture came out just like there was a lot of sun or something, but there wasn't any sun there. It was just like a bright kind of blur. And I was like, oh, damn it didn't work. So when I got the film developed on the camera, because it was an old film camera, thinking that would work better, the picture was completely black. And I was like, what? Yeah, it was so freaky.
That's a thing with
that it just, Bigfoot, like the pictures.
Your electronics just go wacky.
They did. Like nothing. And every other picture I took before that with my phone and my camera turned out fine. Every picture after that was fine. But it was just that one specific picture didn't come out. One was super bright and one was completely black. And I was like, what is going on? So yeah, anytime he would hear something on the other side of the street when it's storming and stuff, and like all the coyotes would get quiet, all the animals outside would get quiet, like you wouldn't hear nothing. All you would hear was the wind and the branches and stuff, and then every once in a while you'd get like that funky smell. But that growl, he looked it up online, and there was somebody else. We had found a few people that found like whoops and stuff like that, but there was one specific one, and I want to say it was in Washington, and the person had recorded it, and it was that same kind of like and then it went like a lion, and I was like, goosebumps on my skin. I was like, that's it, that's the sound. And he was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, it was freaky.
So do you want to take a road trip?
I do.
Oh my gosh,
like I do.
I would love that.
That would be so cool. I know that my friend said, because she said we're probably not going to be able to do our women's camp out is usually in August, but because of the fires up there, they have to cut down a bunch of trees and stuff that got ruined, and the campsite's not safe to camp there. So we're probably going to find somewhere else to camp this year, but I could still show you like the area and stuff. So
I would love that. Let's do it.
That'd be so cool. It freaked me out. I was like, no,
no. It freaks me out every time I go out.
I know my husband's like, we should drive out in the woods and drive up here and go look at this. And I was like, as long as we're in the van and I've got a weapon, okay. I was like, I'm not going out in the woods without being armed from this point on.
Well, thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. I know, I was like, I got to go run a couple errands, but I'm going to stop by there real quick. Yeah, because Kara at the flower shop, she said that she had some deliveries.
Stop. I want it stopped.